Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell by the laughs on the way in that that went very well. Our next guest, you got a Texan coming up next. Just fair warning. Please give it up for the one, the only, your very own, Mr. Gil McKinney!
What's up? Wow. I gotta follow DJ Qualls?
Yeah.
By myself?
I thought you'd come out talking like this.
But my
I feel like it always
poetry
comes out more when you're back home.
Hey man, I would love to sing Friends in Low Places.
There it is.
There it is. Thank you, boys. You guys just gonna leave me out here, huh?
That's right.
All by myself.
That's it.
Wow. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
It has been years since creation has allowed me to have my own panel. I can't remember the last time I got, now my accent's coming back. I can't remember the last time I stood on this stage by myself. I'm a little nervous, I'm all jacked up on coffee. Haven't eaten much, so a little shaky. How's everybody doing? All right. So I came backstage, saw DJ up here. How great is DJ Qualls?
Yeah.
Man, love that guy. Hate that I have to follow him, because I know how highly entertaining he is. But I'm gonna do my best. Who's from Dallas area? All right, anybody from Houston? All right, there we go. I grew up, some of you know this, but I grew up in a little town south of Houston called Angleton.
Yeah.
You know it?
Yeah.
Where are you from? Santa Fe. Yep. Oh yeah, not too far.
Pearland.
Pearland. Love it. Bay City?
League City.
League City. I know it all. When I was a kid, I swam like my whole childhood, and I used to have to get up at like 5 a.m. on Saturday morning and hop in the car with my dad and go to like League City to like swim competition and jump into a cold ass pool at like 7:30 in the morning. I hated it, but I did it. Anybody else here swim growing up? Yeah, I did a lot of swimming. Wasn't planning on talking about that this morning, but this thing just kind of writes itself. Yeah, League City, Alvin, home of Nolan Ryan. Yeah, Angleton hasn't changed much. I get down there maybe once a year. My mom moves just next to Angleton. There's a city called Lake Jackson. That's where she lives now. But I get down to Angleton. It hasn't really changed much. Pearland, on the other hand, wow. When I was a kid, driving from Angleton to Houston, it was pretty wide open. I mean, you knew where the exit was for Pearland, but now it's blown up. It's massive.
We had we had one stoplight.
That's right. Used to have one stoplight. Now there's like 100. But yeah, Pearland's great. So anyhow, this is my second show of the year. I'm doing all of them. Thank you, creation. Thanks for bringing meaning and purpose to my life. No, I'm laughing, but I'm serious. This is great. This is great. You know, it's such a blessing to get to keep doing these things with you guys. I'm so happy that you guys are still showing up. And yeah, I love it. I love getting away from my wife and kids. Love you, babe. I think I need it though, you know? I think I need it. Anybody here who has children will understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm here with mine.
You're here with yours.
I let mine out.
Is your child in the audience?
I have one here and one over there.
How old are you?
24.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you guys are grown. Any like small children in the house I should know about?
Yes.
Just so I can curtail my language and subject matter.
There's
Do you know how to do earmuffs? If I say earmuffs, just lock them up. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? It's great being here. I need to travel. I love traveling. I love coming to hang out with these guys and you guys, and actually trying to get some sleep. Because when you have a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, you're still kind of in it. You know, our son Cameron was born March 29th, 2020. So, like right at the beginning of COVID, everything was starting to go crazy, and we were at the hospital having our second child, which was, it was a lot. And then I don't think he left the house for a year. Not much. We weren't going out to restaurants or doing much, but he's 2.5 now, and he's so cute. A little blondie. Both my kids are blonde. My wife is blonde. I like to say that they look like me. I think they're kind of 50-50 balls between my wife and I. But I tell my daughter all the time that she looks like me, and she's like, "No, I don't. I look like Mom." Because she doesn't understand, right? She's 6. She doesn't understand that she actually, in a way, it did come from me too. She just came from Mom, so that doesn't make sense. She's like, "I don't look like you, Dad, like at all. I've got long hair, and it's blonde, and I'm a girl." So that's it, But the kids keep us busy. It is the best and worst thing you could ever do to your life. I guess I wouldn't do it any other way, but some nights you're just like, why does anybody do this to themselves? Like, we just had one of those epic nights the other night. I'll spare you the gory details, but both kids were up basically like all night with different ailments and different things going on, nightmares and this and that, and my wife and I were just like, look at each other like, why does anybody do this to themselves? You know what I mean?
But then you look at
You guys are so quiet. You guys are just getting warmed up. That's cool. Friday people. You guys are Friday people. But you're going to be here all weekend, right? So you're pacing yourselves. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's one thing I've really, I'm a slow learner. I gotta try to pace myself, especially on these weekends. I don't know if anybody was in Vegas. Was anybody in Vegas? Yeah, I did not pace myself in Vegas. Like, not at all. That place is a trap. It's a slippery slope. But we got through it, and now we're in beautiful Plano, right? We're in Plano?
Plano. Yeah.
This lovely convention center. And we're gonna have a great weekend. There's some new guests, I hear.
Yeah.
Some people from Walker, correct? Some people from Winchester's. All right, are you guys watching it?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Love it.
Are we gonna get another season? Freaking better, guys. Does anybody know? Because I don't know.
No.
Nobody seems to know the answer to that yet. But please, God, I don't ask for much.
More Ghost Henry.
No, I'm serious. It better get a second season. If it doesn't, I am so freaking grateful that I got to be on it and to play Henry again. I didn't see it coming. I didn't think it would happen, and it's just one of the coolest things that's happened to me in a while. Because some of you may remember me from Supernatural. Some of you may be like, I have no idea who this person is. But I did 2 episodes. One in season 8, one in season 9, and then started doing these conventions,
Yeah.
which I didn't anticipate any of this ever happening. And so that kind of took over, but you know, the question I got probably the most over the years of doing these shows is, when is Henry coming back? When are we gonna see Henry again? You know, and I'm like, I don't write the show. I don't know why they didn't do more with Henry on Supernatural, but back in, I don't know if it was April or May of last year, I was in the garage, building like putting together a motorized tractor trailer for my son, probably for his birthday, so it was probably like late March, and I get a text from Jensen, and it's like, hey, do you have a second to chat? And I'm like, you know, Jensen and I are friendly, but we don't communicate a lot. So I was like, yeah, Jensen Ackles, I'm available. Trying to play it cool, I'm sure I didn't.
Right.
So then a few minutes later he calls me and tells me what's going on with the show and asks me if I would be interested in playing Henry again.
Yes.
I said, no, you get out of here. That's done. No, I was like, of course, Jensen, like, he just wanted to make sure before they went down that road that I wanted to do it. And I said, absolutely, man, this is the best news I've gotten in so long. You know, I was so thrilled. And obviously, I knew the show was happening. I knew the pilot of Winchester's was happening, and it was picked up for some episodes. I was actually, now that I think about it, I was driving around one day. I don't know what I was doing, but just running errands, and I get a text from Elena Huffman, who played Abaddon. Mm-hmm. And you guys remember Elena?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And she and I, you know, we've become close over the years, though she left LA years back, and so we don't communicate that much, but she texted me and said, hey, are you set to be in the Winchesters? And I was like, I don't know anything. Why? And she said, because I've got an audition. I think she's okay with me telling the story, whatever. She said that she had an audition for Millie, and she wanted to do it, but whatever. She had some reservations because she played Abaddon, right?
Right.
I was like, look, it's been long enough. Like you should at least audition. But back to me. She said that she got the audition material, and in the scenes, they call them sides. In the sides for her audition, it was a scene with Millie, obviously, and it's talking about Henry. And in the sides, it says my name. Henry Winchester is played by Gil McKinney. And I'm like, this is news to me. Nobody told me this. So she's the one that let me know that my name was in the script. And so then I'm like, well, what do I do? I think I just got to wait it out, you know? And so I had her send me a copy of the sides, and I read them, and it was basically the scene in the pilot where you hear my voice doing the voiceover, reading the letter. So I read it over, and I was like, wow, you gotta be kidding me. Like, can this really happen? After all these years, can this really actually happen? And then it did. I got to go down to New Orleans.
Woo!
One day of work. That's kind of how I like to work, you know? Work smart, not hard, right? I like to be in like maybe 1 or 2 episodes of a show. I don't need to be a series regular. That's so much work. Anyway, so I got to go down to New Orleans, and icing on the cake is Richard Speight Jr. was the director of that episode.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better person to get to do that with, you know. Love Richard, he's one of my favorite people in the entire world, and gosh, I'm just so happy for him. All his hard work over the years is paying off so much. And as an actor, I think I speak for most actors, when you have a director who's also an actor, it's amazing, you know, because they know how to talk to you. They know how to like communicate. Some directors are more visual and technical, and they don't really know how to talk about the acting part, right? But so to have a director that's also an actor, that's also a close friend, was just the coolest, you know. And I went down there, got fitted for my blue suit again. This one's a little bit bigger than the last one. Yeah. And I went to work, and I was nervous, you know, it was a lot. It's like, you know, it's probably like 8-9 years of anticipation for this moment of Henry St. John. And I was a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. You usually have I usually have what they call like first day jitters when you're on a new show or whatever, it's your first day. This was unique because I had one day, so it was like, I just had to get through it. But anyway, when we were done, Richard, later on, I think the next day, Richard and I went to lunch, and he told me that the actors were like nervous to meet me. I was like, what? That's so sweet. I thought I was the only one nervous there, you know? But it was a blast. And how about Drake Roger, huh? I mean, wow. Tall drink of water. There's nobody else that was going to get that part. Like, it's eerie how much he reminds me of Jared and Jensen, but really Jared, you know? I mean, there's just like a quality and like an energy and the tall gangliness. And, he's not quite as goofy as Jared is, but maybe he'll get there. Anyway, it was a blast. Shooting in New Orleans, I'd never shot in New Orleans before. That was pretty cool. Very different than Vancouver, obviously, which is what they were going for. But yeah, it was a blast. So now we're just kind of waiting, I guess. So we'll see. You know, I've talked with Robbie Thompson, the showrunner, sporadically, and you know, hopefully it continues to go, and we'll get to see more of Henry. Yeah, because I need the work. Should we do some questions? Should we start over here? Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. It is Oscar season, so my question is, do you have a favorite Best Picture winner? Or do you have a movie that you're like, oh, this movie was robbed? Like, that's LA Confidential for me. That's
a good one, because LA Confidential is it's probably one of my top 5 movies all time. So I'm gonna steal that from you, because it didn't win Best Picture, but it did win Best Original Screenplay, if I'm not mistaken, right? Love LA Confidential. Like that movie, that genre, that LA Noir kind of thing is like my favorite. I got to do a video game called LA Noir. Yeah, you played it? It was a Rockstar video game called LA Noir, and it was very kind of LA Confidential-esque, and that was a blast. I've never worked so hard on anything in my entire career doing a video game. We can talk about that another time, but yeah, doing the motion capture and everything, really interesting experience. Yeah, let's see. When you asked me the question, the first thing that popped into my mind was Forrest Gump. I adore that movie. So yeah, definitely Forrest Gump, and probably Braveheart. Like those are like two of my other top 5. So I'd probably have to go with those. Love Tom Hanks. Love Forrest Gump. My son has like the same shoes that Forrest wore while he was running. So cute. Like, love Forrest Gump. Tom Hanks. Wow. This guy, I don't think there's an actor that has worked more than Tom Hanks. Like, he just seems to work and work and work. Like, and, you know, I mean, just goes from project to project. Some of them are, you know, I don't want to say questionable, but some of them are kind of like, did you really need to do that? You know, I watched Elvis. Yeah. People were knocking him in Elvis. I thought he was great for what it was. And then like shortly thereafter, I'm watching Pinocchio with my daughter, and I'm like, is that Tom Hanks again? Is there nobody else? Like, he just like gets everything. But I actually was lucky enough to meet him once. There's 2 like A-list movie stars that I got the opportunity to meet briefly, mind you, but they'd stand out. One was Tom Hanks and the other was Brad Pitt. And Tom Hanks, I was working on a film, this is years ago, called Elvis Has Left the Building. It was one of my first jobs. I got to play young Elvis. I was like in my early 20s. So, 5, 6 years ago. I was in, we shot in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was called Elvis Has Left the Building. I'm in like a handful of small scenes playing, in like flashbacks, playing Elvis Presley. And it was directed by a guy named Joel Zwick. And Joel Zwick had, just before we did this movie, had directed Big Fat Greek Wedding. Which, as you guys, I don't know if you guys remember that movie, but it was just like a massive, massive hit. So his follow-up to Big Fat Greek Wedding was Elvis Has Left the Building, which was not a massive, massive hit. Didn't even go to theaters. Though it did have Kim Basinger in it, LA Confidential. It had a good friend of mine, John Corbett. I don't know if you guys know who John Corbett is. John is like the coolest guy. I've known him for years since working on that movie with him. And yeah, like I remember, and forgive me for rambling, I'm kind of all over the place, but I remember getting to Albuquerque to shoot this movie. It was one of my first jobs ever. I was so excited. I was going to get to play Elvis Presley, like one of my idols. And first day I get there, I'm in the hotel lobby, and John Corbett walks in, and he's like Jared. He's like 6'5" or something. He's a big, big guy. And he comes in, and he's just a good old boy. I think he's originally from Wheeling, West Virginia. Anyway, he comes in, and he's like, "I'm gonna go downtown and get a couple pops. You wanna come with me?" And I'm like, "Pops? Pops? Oh, drinks." He calls them pops. So the next thing you know, I'm in John Corbett's pickup truck with him, driving to downtown Albuquerque to get some drinks. And I was like, "This is gonna be a fun, fun time." And anyway, I digress. So I'm working on Elvis Has Left the Building. The producer calls me one day and says, "You're not working today, but if you want to come to set, Tom Hanks is going to be there." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" "Yeah, I'll come." So they had my little trailer for me, like little trailer. And I went to set, and I'm hanging out, and I'm on set, and then I step outside, and I'm talking to somebody, hair and makeup or something. And then all of a sudden I hear this voice, or like sense this presence like coming around, and Tom Hanks walks around. And talk about like an energy of somebody that's like in the room even before he's in the room. I can't explain it except to say that. He comes around, walks on the set. They had him do the silliest cameo. Again, like I said, the guy just works and works and works. He did the silliest cameo in this movie. He didn't even have a line. He was, has anybody seen it? Exactly. That checks out. He has this silly cameo where there's a guy on a motorcycle that gets hit by a car. I think maybe Kim Basinger was driving the car. Or no, she hits a mailbox, and the mailbox flies through the air and hits this guy on a motorcycle in the head. And to the point that like his head is just inside the mailbox.
Oh.
And so she goes up and opens the mailbox to look in, and it's just a picture of Tom Hanks. I mean, it's a shot of Tom Hanks' face, like his dead face. And he walks on the set, and they sit him in a chair or something, and they have like a tight close-up of him, and they're just like, just make some silly faces. And so he made silly faces for about 5 minutes, had everybody dying laughing, and that was it. And then he took some pictures with some people, he signed some autographs, and he walked off set. He's on his way to his car, and Joel Zwick says, "Hey, Tom, there's one more person I want you to meet." And I'm like,
Yeah.
He's like, "This is Gil McKinney, he played Elvis." And Tom Hanks comes over to me, he's like, "Hey, Gil, like, so great to meet you. You guys played Elvis, what was that like?" He's asking me questions, he's one of those people. And I chatted with him for a few minutes, and some of you may know this, he's a huge Elvis fan. Tom Hanks is, which is why he did that movie. Yeah, that was a really cool experience, and he's still one of my favorites for sure. That was a long answer to your question. Hey, we got time, right? Over here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Mary.
Mary?
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I grew up in a small town, so there wasn't much to do. My mom was pregnant for like 10 years in a row, so I'm the oldest of 7.
Wow.
Horrible, worst thing ever.
Is your mom still around?
She is.
She survived that. Good. Wait, where's the small town?
I'm sorry.
What's the small town?
Seminole, Texas.
Okay.
South
Yeah.
of Lubbock.
I've heard of it.
It's amazing I have kids. Here's one of them.
Hi.
Anyways.
And how many do you have?
I have 2.
You have two, smart.
But anyway, so now I have this big, amazing, fun family. Family gatherings are crazy. So my question to you is, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you that turned into the best thing that's ever happened?
Wow, the worst thing that's ever happened to me that turned out to be the best thing that's ever happened to me. That's a really good question. I wish I had more time to come up with the answer, but I mean, I don't want to be too dramatic about it, but kind of just piggybacking on what I was talking about earlier. Not getting to play Henry again on Supernatural was hard for, like, it was hard on me, you know? Like, I wanted to do it so bad, and then when the show ran 15 seasons and they never got back to Henry, and then the show ended. I mean, I never lost hope, you know? I always thought maybe. And then you start to take it personally, even though it probably has nothing to do with me. It's like, as actors, we're like sensitive and take shit personally. Somebody gave me some advice years ago, and they're like, whatever it is, it has nothing to do with you. And like, that's not just for actors, that's for everybody, you know? Usually, like, we think it has something to do with us, and we get all upset in our heads about it, but it has nothing to do with us. But, that being said, I was really, really bummed. I was really depressed that I didn't get to play Henry again. And then the Winchesters happens, you know? So, one of the, I don't want to say it's the worst thing, but a really hard thing turned out to be a great blessing, you know? And what a cool way to get to come back as Henry, you know? And to have that scene with John. It's just so cool. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. You're going to have me thinking about that all day, though. I might come up with another one. Thank you, Mary. Hey.
Hi, Gil. I'm Danny.
Hey, Danny.
So, first of all, last time I saw you was in Houston in 2017.
Woo!
Wow.
And I've got this picture of you that I took where you looked right at my camera and you looked mortified.
Yeah, it's pretty much, that's kind of my resting face.
Mortified. I'm so sorry, but it's...
Let me see it.
Okay.
That's kind of my resting face on stage. I look mortified? Oh, well, yeah, I do look a little scared. I had another picture somebody took of me on stage one time, and then they I don't know if they set it to the music or I don't know, it was like, hello darkness, my old friend. It was like, I just looked like I was not here. I was sitting in a chair just like, which happens. Anyhow.
Yeah, that picture became a meme in my group chat for a while.
Oh, it did?
Yes, it did. But my question, I asked you to hit the same one, but what is your version of self-care?
My version of self-care? Naps, for sure. Yeah, I was never a napper until I had kids, you know?
Yeah.
So definitely trying to take a nap, even if it's a dance nap, or like my wife calls them disco naps. Like, dancers have this thing when they're working or rehearsing or whatever, where they take dance naps, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but I think it's 24 minutes, specifically 24, I'm not sure why. But 24 minutes, you lay down on your back, you elevate your feet, and you close your eyes. And even if you don't fall asleep, like, you wake up feeling refreshed, you know? It's hard for me to fall asleep in 24 minutes. Sometimes I can do it. Usually my mind is just racing too much. But if I can just close my eyes, like, I always wake up feeling a little bit better. Something else that comes to mind, which I've been really upset about, but because I can't do it right now, but I love a good sauna. Or like a good steam shower. Like, I love a sauna. There's a place in Burbank called Burbank Spa and Garden, and it's been there for 40 or 50 years. And they have a sauna there. Does anybody else here like saunas? You should, it's awesome. Change your life. I love it. I mean, I can go like a long time. You just sweat everything out. And it's like I don't know, it's just like a rush, like a high of endorphins when you leave. You just feel like a new person. And then you go trash yourself. And start over. But yeah, Burbank Spa and Garden, been there 40 or 50 years. They have a sauna in there that is the only sauna. There might be one other in Los Angeles, but you can't even make saunas like this anymore. It's like an old gas stove with these huge rocks that they ship in from like Finland, you know, the birthplace of the sauna. And it's just cedar walls. There's a shower head hanging down over the rocks in the oven. And there's a rope that goes around the top of the ceiling. So when you're sitting, if you want to really kick it up, pull this rope, and it douses the rocks with cold water and makes it nice and steamy and all that. That was like my happy place for the longest time. If I could get away and go do that, you know, once a week, it was like life-changing. I find out the other day that they closed down Burton Spa and Garden. It's no longer there. And I was like, it sounds silly, I know, but I was like devastated. My wife walked in there and she's like, what happened? Is everything okay? She thought it was like something really, I was like on the verge of tears. I was like, close down Burbank Spa and Garden. She's like, what? Really? Like, you're that upset over this? I was like, that was my happy place.
Yeah.
That was where I could go just like be quiet and have some time for myself. So that's another thing I like to do for self-care. Sometimes, I haven't done as much, but maybe I'll do it some this year, but sometimes when we're in these different cities, I'll try to find time to go find like a good like spa or sauna and yeah, have a nice sweat. It's good for you. It's good for everything. Anyway, yeah.
Try getting a facial.
Oh, try getting a facial? I don't know what you're talking about. No, yeah. Do I need one? No, trust me. I know, I'm an actor. We have a good friend that does those, and sometimes I'll pop in your house. Yeah. Hey.
Hi, I'm Chelsea.
Hey, Chelsea.
First off, I just want to tell you that I think that you are the perfect Henry Winchester. My question for you is, what is your favorite place that you've ever vacationed or had to film in?
Ooh. Favorite place, favorite vacation, you know, that's a tough one. Because of Supernatural and getting to do these conventions, I mean, I don't even think I hadn't traveled much out of the U.S. Except for Canada and Mexico. I don't think I'd been overseas at all before getting to do conventions, you know, and then those doors started opening and I got to do a lot of travel. Man, it's tough. I love Australia. Oh man, I probably got to go to Italy. Yeah, what an amazing place. If you haven't been to Italy, make sure you find time to carve out and go. Maybe go to Jib if that's still going on. I don't know. I got to do Jib a couple times, and the best time was, I think it might have been my first time there. My wife Kristen was pregnant. We got married November 8th, 2014, and I'm trying to remember how this timed out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But my wife we delayed doing our honeymoon. So by the time we got around to saving up some money to do a honeymoon after the wedding, my wife was very pregnant, I don't know, she was up against whatever the line is where you can't travel. So I don't know, like 6 months, say. Anyway, so I was so proud of her. I can't believe she did it. But we went to Italy. We did 2 weeks in Italy. We started in the south, and we went north. And about halfway through the trip, after like a week down there, we ended in Rome. Did the Jib convention in Rome, and then continued on north. And it was phenomenal. I mean, no regrets. The only thing I would say is you don't need to go to Venice. Or if you do, don't go for more than like a day or a night. There's so many other cool places in Italy. That would be my only advice. But we started in Positano, which is down on the Amalfi Coast. And it was a little rainy. It was kind of a little too cold and rainy for the beach at the time, but it was beautiful. And then we went to Capri, which is like off the charts, beautiful. It's a little island off the coast there. We were in Capri, and then we went to Rome, did the convention, and then we went to we went to Florence, which is like stepping into a painting. It's so beautiful. It's like, I mean, it's like gives you goosebumps. All the villas, you know, all you do is just walk around and like drink wine and eat pizza and look at like beautiful art and these homes, the architecture. It's like phenomenal. And then we ended in Venice. And I guess my only like regret of the trip would be that we did 2 nights in Capri, but we did 4 nights in Venice, which was such overkill. Yeah, it was like by the time we got to Venice, we had eaten so much pasta, you know. And I don't know if you've ever been to Venice, but it's these little cobblestone streets, right? There's no cars, obviously. It's a city set in water, so there's like, you know, there's tributaries. Is that the right word? That run through the city. But the buildings, you know, they're old. They go up fairly high. You just feel like very enclosed, you know. So like after being in Florence, where everything's very wide open and beautiful, like to be in Venice, it felt a little like claustrophobic to me. But yeah, Italy for sure. And as far as shooting, I still have like such a special place in my heart for Vancouver. You know, there's just something about, I love Vancouver, another city. If you ever get the chance, go to Vancouver. It's so beautiful. I've gotten to shoot in Austin, which I loved. Working on a show called Friday Night Lights. That was an awesome experience. Vancouver several times. Atlanta. I like Atlanta, but for some reason when I get to work there, it's like July or August. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, I remember one time I was working on a show and it was so hot and humid outside and I'm trying to do this scene and I am just drenched in sweat. And they would call cut and then somebody would come in with like a towel and like towel me off and hit me with these little handheld fans and I'm just trying to like, you know, like mind over matter, but yeah, that was brutal. But yeah, Vancouver, love Vancouver. One of my first jobs ever was a pilot that I got to shoot up there. It was probably my second or third job. It was around the time of the Supernatural pilot. I can't remember for the life of me if it was the same year or the year after, but around that time, I tested, along with, you know, a handful of other guys, but I tested for the role of Sam in Supernatural. And I think it was the first show I'd ever like tested for. This is going back almost 20 years. Things are very different now as far as how they cast those kind of shows, but yeah, so I tested for Sam. Obviously didn't get it, but so weird that, you know, like 8 years later, I get the, and I don't even know if I had auditioned for the show again, to be honest with you. But I get the call to go in and audition for Henry, which was so cool. Like, it took a while to get back to me, but I'm glad they did. So anyway, I went up there. I was up there for a month. Okay, so didn't get Supernatural, but did get a part in a reboot of Lost in Space.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys, you know, the old Lost in Space.
Yeah.
The robot, the family, and everything. So around the time Supernatural started, it was the WB then, right? It was before it became CW. They had a pilot called Lost in Space, and it was directed by John Woo. I don't know if you know who John Woo is. He's a famous, huge Chinese director. Yeah, so I was up there for like 4 or 5 weeks working with John Woo on like a big budget TV pilot. Like, at that time, I think it was the most expensive pilot made that year, and it was like $5 or $6 million. Wow. Like now, that's like an episode of a show. It's crazy. But I think part of the reason it didn't get picked up is because they realized how expensive at the time it would be to make. But anyway, that was just such a like dream come true and so fun, and like the sets were amazing, like the inside of the spaceship, you know, and I had a blast. I played David Robinson. So the family was a little bit different than the original show. I don't know if there was a David Robinson in the original show, and I had a sister, I can't remember the character's name, but anyway, she was, that was played by Adrienne Pullick, don't know if you guys know Adrian Brody. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
She was the pilot of Supernatural.
Right.
Played Sam's girlfriend. She's on the Orville now, I believe. Anyway, yeah, she was awesome. I remember being like, this girl's a star. She's definitely going to blow up, and she did. But yeah, Vancouver, I love that city. I love the rain. Like, I feel like I kind of vibe well in that Pacific Northwest environment. Now, mind you, I've never been in it for like longer than a month. I imagine if you lived in it, it might not feel the same. But yeah, I love Vancouver. And it's a short flight from LA. You know, it's a nice getaway. Was that you that asked that question? Thank you. Hey.
I told you on the kids, I have a 1-year-old and 6-year-olds.
Oh wow, so yeah, you're in it too?
I'm on vacation.
Good for you. Boy and girl?
2 girls.
2 girls, beautiful.
I'm from Houston, so I'm going to settle this. Might start a bit of a, who has worse drivers, Houston, Dallas?
Well, you know I'm going to say Dallas because, yeah. I'm going to say Dallas because I'm from the Houston area. But I got to be honest with you, I have no idea. I've been gone for a while now. I mean, I moved to Los Angeles and you guys are going to know how old I am now. I moved to LA in 1997 to go to USC for college, and I graduated in 2001 from USC. And I've pretty much, except for a little bit of time in New York City, I've pretty much been in LA ever since. So I know, you know, Houston and Dallas, obviously, they've grown a lot since I've been gone. But I do remember, you know, Houston, like the freeways and all. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, and anytime I go home, they're still building it. They're still building more roads and freeways and these big overpasses and these windy things. I think they used to call them spaghetti bowls. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna say Dallas. They're terrible drivers.
Why do you enjoy sauna so much? Having grown up in Houston, just go outside.
It's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I mean, there's 2 things. I love Texas, and I love where I grew up, but I don't know if I can move back because of the humidity, but you're right, I do like saunas. Those saunas are more of a dry heat. That like, Houston humidity is just, like, you can't even go outside, you know? It can be 80 or 85, which is warm, but like 95% humidity. You walk outside and you're just like immediately drenched, you know? I can't live in that. And also the mosquitoes. Oh gosh, I don't miss the mosquitoes. Though, we have mosquitoes in LA now. Like, what the heck?
You're welcome.
We
Apparently they
decided
came out, which is maybe total bullshit, but apparently they came on, I'm just going to continue the rumor anyway. Apparently they came on in a shipment of like bamboo from Thailand.
Oh.
Which makes sense. Like this huge shipment came over and landed, I guess, on the West Coast somewhere and brought a ton of mosquitoes with it. And it's like, thanks, Thailand. Yeah, so but it's still not like Texas, you know? It's still not like Texas. When I think about humidity, I think about my first car, which was, funny enough, was a 1962 Chevy Impala.
Wow.
Yeah. It was black.
Wow.
With red interior and had a red racing stripe down the side. 1962. It was pretty awesome. I wish I still had it. I mean, that thing is a tank. You guys know. It's very similar to, what year is this Impala? 67?
67.
Yeah. Similar, just a little bit older. Just a back seat that's like a twin bed. I mean, it's just massive back seat. Never use that. Never drove to the beach. Oh boy. Yeah, that was my first car, and my dad bought it for me. I think when I was turned 16, he found this car, and he bought it for like, I don't know, like $4,000 or something, and it was in pretty good shape. It needed a little bit of work. My dad was much more handy like that than I am. I'm pretty handy, but not so much with engines. And my dad worked on it some, and I helped him, and then he sent it somewhere, I'm sure. But like the paint was great, The interior needed a little bit of work, but it was just the coolest, most beautiful car. And man, I loved that car. I wish I still had it, but it did not have air conditioning. And I have these vivid memories of like, you know, being 16 and going on like one of my first dates, you know. And we had this long driveway. We lived out in the country. We had this long driveway going out to the highway from our house. And have you guys been to my house, my childhood home? Yeah, you were there? Yeah, you were there. Yeah? I did years, maybe in 2017, we were in Houston. I took a group down to my childhood home. Anyhow, had this long driveway going out to the highway, and I would be so excited to take out this girl and I'd drive down the driveway to the highway. By the time I got to the end of the driveway, my shirt was just so stuck to the back, kind of stuck to my back, which is not always a great look when you're going on a date. Pick her up, just drink some sweat. But yeah, well, the boys are back. If I didn't get to you, I apologize. I'll try to get to more of you tomorrow. I'm going to be back up here with David Hayden-Jones tomorrow. Also wanted to let you guys know that I brought my blue suit. Yeah, so, you know, David's been rocking his suit on Saturdays for his photo ops and stuff. So we talked and I was like, let me pack my blue suit.
Yeah.
I've been doing this a while. I need to like switch it up, do some different things. So anyway, I'm doing a photo op with David today, but also tomorrow we're both going to be in our blue suits. If you want one of those, we'll be there. Thank you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gil McKinney.